right. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, everyone. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. Of course, my name is Ugo Dre, and we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30 on this channel. And this is our capital market show. We talk about Nigerian stocks, foreign stocks, and sometimes we talk about the economy and matters that do affect foreign stocks. What a weekend it was. We woke up on Sunday morning and we found out that the war between Iran and Israel escalated with the United States joining the fray. So a quick look at the market suggests stocks might be coming in lower. At least the futures market shows stocks are likely going to be lower today as war of words continues and tensions escalate. We're hoping that perhaps some of the biggest countries in the world will find ways to diffuse the situation. But in the meanwhile, we have one look at crude oil prices, of course, and hitting $75, $76 per barrel. As much as that's good for Nigeria, because we do export crude oil and that's our major earnings, it's not really good for the streets because it could perhaps affect fuel prices. But of course, this is the capital market show. So we look at, we have one eye on oil and gas stocks, expecting that this could be a major tailwind for them in the coming days. So this is one to watch. But in the meanwhile, this week, the Nigerian exchange delivered yet another positive return. It was a standout performance with stocks with all share index soaring by 2,708 points to close at 118,138. Can you believe that? We're at 118. I mean, like it was just some months ago that I always talked about 100,000, but now we're at 118 freaking thousand, and stocks were up 2.35% last week. And to think that this was a very difficult week for stocks, because we did expect that a lot of stocks were likely going to suffer because of that central bank circular that came out 2 Fridays ago. And so Monday really came up pretty red for a lot of stocks. They all suffered, and we all thought that it was going to be a bloody week. But you know what? For those of us who knew that, this is not such a bad news, right? And those who follow my newsletter, I mean, we did put out on Monday in that newsletter. Did I say newsletter? Website. Yeah. My personal blog. I did put it out there that this was a buying opportunity for people who were looking for cheap banking stocks to buy, who may have missed out on some of the rallies of some weeks ago. So, and they did. And for those who got in, I'm sure you probably made significant gains. And if you're wondering what website that is, it's ftm.ng. FTM, acronym for followthemoney.ng. And then you can see some of my private picks and some of the stocks that I speak about, stocks on my radar, action points, and not just stocks. I also talk about investing. There were a lot of investing opportunities last week as well. For example, did you know that there were treasury bills sold last week? There were a number of FGM bonds as well and corporate bonds that were sold last week. So those are opportunities that sometimes we find a way of missing because we're in a world that is full of information overload. So you got to find a way to discern and look for the information that just helps you grow your wealth. That's all that matters. And that's what Nairametrics and FTM is for, by the way. So back to stocks. So market activity basically exploded. Trading volume surged by 3.9% to hit 3.5 billion shares, while total market capitalization rose from 2.7 trillion to 74.5 trillion during the week. And so we're now on like 72.5 trillion. What's that? That's probably about $50-60 billion there, about in terms of our market cap, which is not bad, right? Yeah. So it wasn't smooth sailing. I mean, there are some stocks that did fall off as well. The banking sector, like I mentioned, suffered at the beginning of the week, but later picked up because of the forbearance issues. So banking and telecom stocks essentially led the way during the week. So we will run, of course, into the top losers. So let's see if any of the stocks that you follow was part of the top losers for the week. And so for our top 5 losers, we do have Red Star Express came in at number 5 at 7.14% loss. Red Star, I mean, I've talked about Red Star a bit on this show, but they did come with a 7.5% loss. And VFD Group also lost 7.41% during the week, while Owando that has been flying high for some weeks now, did pull back with an 11.59% loss. Not really sure why that happened. I mean, their names did come up a few times when people were talking about forbearance, but I cannot doubt that was the issue because we did also hear that they may have restructured some of their loans. And so, but perhaps it's just a market activity. It did fall 11.59%. Sonu Assurance, 12.8% as the second largest drop during the week. And the largest drop during the week was from Northern Nigeria Flour Mills, falling 17.19% to round up the top 5 biggest losers for the week. And of course, in terms of gainers, the stocks that were very hot, we have, did I say top 5? I meant top 6, I beg your pardon. We also have top 6 gainers for the week, and the number 6, the sixth top gainer for the week was Seplat Energy. Seplat Energy surged 10% during the week. I mean, I don't know why this stock just keeps going higher and higher. I personally think it's gone past, its intrinsic valuation, but I think investors see something different, and no surprises. The stock is going up 10% during the week. Presco just keeps hitting new highs. Presco's high was now crossed 1,000 naira, so it's part of those stocks that are valued at over 1,000 naira per share. Joined that company, and Presco is up 11.68%. GTCO, I think this was one stock that basically benefited from the entire CPN forbearance story of last week. Looks like they were one of the few banks that came out unscathed. And so investors looked at that, loved it, and rewarded that stock with a massive 18.8% pop. And so it gained 18 point. You know what I mean? 18.8% in 1 week for a banking stock. That is significant. Bank stocks don't even do 10% a year sometimes. But this one did 18.8% in 1 week to make it the highest gaining banking stock of the week. And the next was Living Trust Mortgage Bank, up 18.8% as well. It's a bank, but microfinance bank, smaller bank, mortgage bank, I beg your pardon. And they were also up 18.8%. And next up was Better Glass. That is another company stock that just keeps soaring, up 19% again. Only problem I have with Better Glass is that it's illiquid, but maybe that's why the share price keeps going up. I've talked about Better Glass before on the show. They make glassware for bottling companies. So most of the companies who sell a lot of these bottling drinks that you all have, in fact, anything that you can put in a bottle, Better Glass makes it locally. And you know that people prefer locally made goods these days to foreign one because nobody wants to be in the mix of dollar imports or dollar-related importation. And so local companies like Better Glass are making waves now. I did talk about Presco as well, Presco, Como Oil. A lot of these guys who manufacture local inputs are doing pretty well. So, that's also how to find very good investments. You don't really have to be a genius to know some of these things. Just sort of see how the economy is going. You know that it's very expensive now to find dollars. And so companies that do find themselves in a situation where they can make local input that manufacturers need or companies need, they are sitting pretty well at the moment. So Better Glass is one of them, and the share price has been popping this year one of the, in fact, I think it's the best performing stock this year so far. It's been like that for a couple of months now, and it continues. So investors in the stock are probably smiling every day to the bank. I hope that you haven't sold it yet, though. The funny thing is that my first Better Glass investment was bought at like, I think it was like 12 Naira or so back then. It was several years ago, by the way. Ella Lakes made it as the top gainer for the week. I have my reservations with Ella Lakes, but I guess investors see something that I'm not seeing. Share price gained 23% during the week. It's one of those stocks that, like I mentioned, fundamentally, in terms of fundamentals and results, probably not where you think they should be. But I mean, maybe it's technicals happening here or internal boardroom shenanigans. But I mean, whatever the case is, investors must see something that I'm not seeing. And so the share price is up 23% in 1 week alone. The funny thing is that if you look at most of the stocks last week as well, it appears that some of them also doing pretty well. We did have several stocks that did well, during the week. I think we had the likes of, international brewers doing well last week. Julie, Bois Cement, as well, all the stocks that did well last week. And then we now have a new set of stocks riding high for the week. All right. So there were a number of corporate highlights as well, which means corporate results that happened during the week. So in case these are companies that you own shares in, Aso Savings, they did push out their results during the week. Sterling Bank also releases Q1 results, much awaited Q1 results. I think we're going to talk about them later on the show. Corn Oil also releases numbers as well. Then, of course, in response to the CBN's forbearance circular, a lot of banks pushed out press releases as well, trying to explain and give their investors some kind of comfort. And of course, why was this circular such a big deal? The circular, the CBN said that those banks that are under forbearance will not be able to pay dividend at the end of, until they clear that forbearance. And I think the concern was that a lot of these banks, some of them do pay half-year dividend. Half-year is almost, here, and shareholders in Nigeria love dividends a lot. So looking like some of the stocks might be affected. And so they did come out and push a press release. We saw the first one come from FCMB, and then Zenith, and then First Holdco pushed out a press release. And I think Access Bank as well pushed out a press release. Suggesting that these were some of the FUGAs or the non-FUGAs banks that were affected. I think Fidelity Bank also pushed out a press release. And the short of that press release was that, look, we've seen the forbearance, we're working on it, we're going to clear it before, I guess, the end of the year. Most of them are looking at end of the year to clear it. Clearing it actually means that they're going to write it off their profit. So it's not like, it's just something that you just take away and doesn't affect anybody. It's definitely going to affect these companies, because when you clear that forbearance, it's basically out of your profit or out of your net assets. So these banks are going to take a little bit of pain so that they can grow. But they are also confident that they could still pay dividend. Now, how is that possible? Well, it's possible because a lot of these companies are holding companies, and they have a lot of subsidiary companies as well. And so some of these subsidiary companies can upstream dividend to the holdco, and then the holdco can pay dividend. Now, remember that some of these companies also own banks. So the bank portion of the holding company may not be able to pay dividend until it clears this issue. But the subsidiaries that are into other things, even though they're still in financial services space, can upstream dividend to the holdco, and they will pay dividend. However, just to manage your expectations, the dividend might not be huge. So when you see your favorite company paying lower than expected dividend this year, or dividend that is much lower than what it was last year, well, just remember this forbearance issue. So that is, the impact of forbearance. So, but a lot of these banks, like I said, have come out to say, look, nothing to worry about. We're all good. We're going to be fine. Just take a little pain. I mean, a lot of these banks have been posting mega profits in the last year and last 2 years. So I guess CBN is saying, you know what, it's time to claw back some of those things. And well, forbearance is good anyway, because when that happens, a lot of banks do better. All right. We are getting to the end of the first part of the show. We're going to back in a bit, but what a week it was for the stock market. Who knows? By this time next week, are we going to hit 120,000 mark? It'll be interesting to see how June passes, because June is looking like a fabulous month already for stocks. When we're back, we're going to talk about some companies and some of the important news that we got during the week. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. Of course, we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30 on this channel. Of course, you can catch this particular episode on our YouTube channel, Nairametrics TV. And if you're not following Nairametrics TV on Instagram, please do follow Nairametrics.tv on Instagram. And then you can follow that handle for a lot of our reels and podcasts. All right, so something interesting happened during the week. Crypto enthusiasts might love this, and those who don't like crypto, well, I mean, you might not like it, but hey, it's the news. And the Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, is launching a new initiative that it calls Crypto Smart Nigeria Strong. Yeah, you heard me right. Crypto Smart Nigeria Strong, Security and Exchange Commission, or SEC. And the campaign is designed to educate young investors and lay the groundwork for future regulations around stablecoins and digital assets. So you see, these things have come to stay. They are not going. And according to SEC's DG Emomotimi Agama, the campaign will target students across schools, universities, and social media. And the focus, teaching basic blockchain principles, spotting crypto scams, and promoting long-term investment habits. I kind of like how this sounds. I like how it sounds. Like, it sounds really interesting to me. I said, go on. But this isn't just about awareness. I think the SEC is also trying to revamp its regulatory structure, introducing tiered virtual asset providers, that's virtual asset service providers, VASP, as they call it, licenses for VAPs. And then they're also enhancing automatic compliance monitoring, automatic compliance monitoring, streamlining application timelines. And the goal, of course, is to attract credible players and shut out those bad guys that make crypto sound like it's some bad thing. So I always like when regulators are very innovative, because then they see that young people love crypto. So what's the point shutting them out? So why don't we just harness this huge market and regulate it? And that's what it looks like we're happening. So there's a stable work framework coming up. Nigeria as well. A major part of the plan involves creating a framework for Naira pegged stablecoins. I mean, do you know what I mean? So like, I wonder what now happens to like the e-Naira, because when you have a Naira peg stable coin, that just competes with the e-Naira, doesn't it? Because I mean, a stable coin essentially is a crypto equivalent of your currency. So that can just solve a whole lot of stuff. It's going to be backed by verifiable reserves. So for example, let me give you an example. So let's just say that a crypto company has like 100 billion naira in its reserves, and that company wants to be into payments transfers. So because it has 100 billion naira in its reserves, and it's clear that it has that, it could convert 100 billion naira into stable coins, and then you could buy that stable coins from that company, and then you could just start transferring stable coins with other people easily through the blockchain. And that company can now take a cut of it, right? So you just take, a cut of the fees for transfers. And stable coins are known to be very, fungible. They're very easy to convert and faster transfers and all that. So, interesting where this thing is going to. But let's just go on. And it's going to be audited independently and designed for cross-border trade, payments, and programmable finance. It could be a game changer, man. It could be. What's the big picture here? Well, the big picture here is that over 65% of Nigerians are crypto users, especially Nigerians under 35 years old. 65% of them are crypto users. I mean, you can verify that fact. And many financially underserved banks Digital assets have become a lifeline for savings, payments, and wealth creation. The SEC is also reviewing proposals for crypto-backed ETFs, custodian wallets for pension funds, tokenized securities for institutional investors. And so think about it, with pension assets at over 20 trillion, as in Nigeria's pension assets, this move could unlock new form of capital. It looks like we're seeing a brand new market evolving in the crypto space, especially now that SEC is regulating it. And not surprising here, government also has a lot to gain from here, because that's suddenly a new, tax opportunity unlocked for the government. So no surprises that they are solidly behind a crypto regulation. So this is a huge space, and I think you want to watch this space a lot, because pretty excited about what's going to happen or what's happening in that space. So crypto looks like it's come to stay in Nigeria. But of course, I'm not talking about the bad cryptos, because we do have bad cryptos out there. You always have bad eggs everywhere, but this is purely regulated crypto. And looks like I'm speaking a lot to this the whole of this week, but this is really, really, really exciting times coming for Nigerians. All right, quickly, time is not on my side, so I'm just going to go to other stories that caught my attention during the week. And BNY Mellon, a company in partnership with Standard Bank Group, rolled out global depository receipts backed by Nigerian sovereign Naira debt. A move that, many things could shape how international investors access Nigeria's lucrative debt market. Pretty interesting, and most of the people in this space really love the story. The central bank confirmed the development as well, noting that the depository notes are backed by Nigerian treasury bills and government bonds. It will be settled via Euroclear and Clearstream, and most importantly, offers a simplified route for foreign investors to invest in Nigeria's local bond market. So foreign investors who want to buy in Nigeria's local bond market don't need to come to Nigeria and start converting their currency in Naira and buying this bond. They can basically just buy over there in wherever it is they are in the US through this global depository receipts. And so when you buy those receipts in foreign currency, the company who is issuing that receipt already bears the comfortability risk, and then comes to buy our bonds, and then pays them interest. So it sounds interesting. Think about it too. You're buying that global you're buying those receipts in dollars, and you're earning a freaking 20, 18, 17% return. Brings liquidity into the market. So pretty interesting what this could mean. This is already our fixed income securities market that is highly, highly, highly liquid or oversubscribed. Interesting to see whether this also evolves into corporate bonds as well at some point. But good stories there. A lot of good stories. A lot of good stories that I like. Now, still on fixed income securities, Nigeria's green bond hit 91 billion, and it was oversubscribed by 183%. This was also on my Follow the Money blog. In case you missed it, I did mention that there were green bonds to buy, and so there's a green bond to buy that was sold last week, and it was sold at 183%. Green bonds are pretty good investments as well, and so the coupon rate was about 18.95% as well. And there were also treasury bills sold during the week as well. In case you missed that one. Was that what I wrote about? Anyway, treasury bills were sold last week. And then quickly, Sterling Bank's numbers were out last week, and pre-tax profit of 18.2 billion for Q1, more than double, about 120% up from the year before, same period last year. The results was mostly driven by interest income, and the company also declared a final dividend of 18 kobo per share, payable July 11. So if you're a shareholder of Sterling Bank, expect to see that happening pretty soon. And total assets of Sterling Bank is now 3.6 trillion. Another major news from SEC last week that I want to close with was an alert. So SEC also said that there is a public warning against CMT trading, which is a crypto and commodities platform, flagging it for operating illegally and potentially defrauding unsuspecting Nigeria. So what I always say is that if there's any company that's selling anything to you in this financial market space, go check if they are SEC registered. If they're not SEC registered, don't put your money. It's obviously a Ponzi or it is risky investment. So you want to be very careful. Make sure that whatever it is you're investing in is SEC registered. All right, that is Follow the Money for this week. I do hope that I have at least started your morning on a profitable ride for the rest of the week. And of course, you can check this version of the show on our YouTube channel, Nairametrics TV on YouTube, and follow us across all social media platforms at Nairametrics and at Nairametrics TV. Until we do this again next week, do have a profitable week ahead. Bye.